Out of position players is one of the best things in FPL. If you don't know what I mean, out of position player is a player wrongly classified by FPL. For example, a player who is a midfielder in real life but is classified as defender. He is bringing points like defender, clean sheets, more points for goals, and etc. For example, Stuart Dallas back a couple of seasons ago, he was classified as a defender, but he played in midfielder mostly in real life. So for each goal he scored, he got 6 points, then he got points for clean sheets, and etc. And that was such a bargain because he was at low price. But when such out of position players emerge, FPL next season tends to change their position. For example, Stuart Dallas next season, after his wrongly classification, was moved back into midfield, and he didn't provide such excitement because his clean sheets points were reduced to 1 from 4, and his goal scoring points were reduced from 6 to 5. So he lost the appeal and the Leeds got badly. But yeah, other players such as Rashford, for example, who was a striker, is now a midfielder, gained from it because he got more points for goals and a clean sheet bonus. So yeah, there tend to be several changes in every season about a player wrongly positioned, but other examples such as Zaha or Antonio suffered from moving from midfielders to forwards. So let's say that going backwards in FPL classification while being as forward as you can be in real life is a good thing. Other players such as Mohamed Salah, who are scoring goals for fun, will most probably never be classified as a forward, for example, because he's playing on a wing. And there are several classifications like that. Trent Alexander-Arnold is another example. He's now playing in midfield, but he's starting every game in defense, so he will most probably remain a defender. So yeah, a lot of players, in my opinion, will change position for next season. But before we jump into those players, if you find my content interesting and want to see more interesting videos, please subscribe to the channel. And now let's jump into the players that most probably will move their position. Brennan Johnson is the first player, in my opinion, that will change position for next season. Before he was a forward, but I think he will become a midfielder. He was mostly playing as a shallow striker or a 10 last season, but not as the most upfront man, which is what is classified in the FPL for a striker. So he will be becoming a midfielder. He will gain more points from scoring goals and he will get a point for a clean sheet. Nottingham did not keep a lot of clean sheets, but each point counts, and if he scores around the same number of goals, he may be going for like 15 or 20 points up next season, which is a pretty good number for a player that is playing in a team fighting for a relegation. So yeah, Brennan Johnson will be a good opportunity for you if he is a midfielder and at a reasonable price. Morgan Gibbs-White plays there as well, so there might be a rotation, but let's see how the season starts and if at all he is moved to midfielder. But if he is, he may be becoming a very, very good option for, let's say, a 7th forward in your 3-4-3 lineup or 3-5-2 or however you want to build your starting lineup. Next up is Lewis Hall from Chelsea. This is one of the most exciting prospects for the position changes because I like him as a player. If Ben Chilwell continues to be injured, he will take his place, and if they play with wingbacks and he's operating on the left flank, he will gain a lot of points for a very reasonable price. He is now a midfielder, but basically he is a wingback, so he classifies as a defender. So if FPL are reasonable, they will place him as a defender, and if that happens, clean sheets from Chelsea and scoring goals and top playing will give him a lot more points, and he will start earning 1 more point for goal and 3 more for clean sheets. Yeah, he will lose points if they concede goals, but under Pochettino I believe that they will improve massively in defense. So if Chilwell is injured and this guy is a regular starter, he will be a bargain. But if he stays a midfielder, he will be a no-go for me, like last season, because he was not playing very regularly and they were not playing very good, Chelsea, because they were conceding for fun, let's say. But if Pochettino settles the defense correctly and if he got his chance, I believe that he will become a very, very good option for your defense for a very reasonable price. He may be even 4.0, and that will be a steal. Next up is Bryan Mbeumo. This is a little bit controversial because he is mostly known as a striker. He was out of position player in the season before last one, but last season he was mostly playing as a right winger alongside Ivan Toney and Wissa when he came on. So with that being said, I believe that he may be changed to midfielder back again. And if Ivan Toney is, and he will be for sure, out of the season before Christmas, he may play as a striker and out of position striker for Brentford, who were scoring a lot of goals and they avoided being relegated in their second season in the Premier League. I believe that they will keep going strongly because their model is good and they will keep their place once again. And who else score goals rather than Mbeumo? He was very, very good at the end of last season, and if he continues his form, he will be a very, very good striker. He will challenge Brennan Johnson for that seventh spot if they're both midfielders. Even if he is a striker, I may invest in him because he will not be over 6.5 million, and I will need a semi-expensive striker to go alongside Haaland because I'm going for Haaland for sure, and I will need such a striker, so Mbeumo will be an option. If he is in midfield, even better, but yeah, Bryan Mbeumo is a little bit controversial, as I said, but there is a lot of things that can support my theory, so it's your decision if you want to believe in that theory or not. Speaking of controversial position changes, the biggest controversy is John Stones going to midfield. I believe this will not happen, but there's a slight possibility, and I want to discuss it with you guys. He was ending the season as a midfielder, basically playing next side of Rodri, but you say like Zinchenko went into midfield, Trent went into midfield. What's the difference here? Here the difference is that he was starting the game as a midfielder, not going there from build up, and he was dropping if he was needed. So basically he was a midfielder for around 15 games at the end of the season, so he may receive a position change. He played as a right back, he played as a center back, so most probably it won't happen, but we can imagine. If he stays as a defender, he may be an option, but not such a good option. He does not have a lot of goal scoring potential, even though he makes very, very good runs around the midfield and he is going straight forward into the box, and sometimes these shots will connect and he will score a goal, and if he remains a defender it will be very good. But if he becomes a midfielder, he is a no-go for me for sure, because even if he goes back into defense, he won't get the points for clean sheets, he won't score goals as I expect from him. So yeah, I will most probably stay away from him. But if he stays a defender, which is 95%, let's say, sure that will happen, he will be a very, very good option for the start of the season because City have very good fixtures, and I may consider him, but for now let's focus on the position changes. For me, he is a 5% position change, but you have to believe that some of these changes may happen. Next up is the first player that I'm sure that will get a position change. He was classified as a forward, Enciso from Brighton, but he did not play as a forward. He played as a cam, he played as a winger, but never a forward. Ferguson and Welbeck occupied that spaces, Undaf as well. But Enciso, I really thought that he was a midfielder even last season, but he was a forward when I wanted to buy him and I didn't have the slot for it, and he was not worth it because as a forward, as I already explained, he did not get a lot of points. But if Mitoma or March leave this season, and so will get a chance in the starting lineup for me, so he will be joining my team because he won't be over 5.5 in my opinion. He emerged later this season and he did not have a full time playing, so I believe that they won't price him very unreasonably, but he will go to midfielder for sure. As I already explained, I believe he played as a midfielder, and when I was searching for him, I didn't find him, which was strange, and then I found out that he was a forward. He was the same price as Ferguson. He scored several more goals at the end of the season, but Ferguson was far better, in my opinion, at that striker role, and if Enciso does not become a starter in Brighton lineup, I don't believe anyone will want to buy him, even though this change is good for him and is good for fantasy. I believe that this is a sure change, but it won't be very exciting for a lot of FPL players. Next up is one of the most unlucky players last season. He scored like 3 or 4 goals and he got them almost all ruled out because he was offside. I'm speaking about Richarlison. As you can see, he was classified as a forward, but he almost never replaced Harry Kane, and he come and played as a right or left winger, basically on the wing. So they may change him. There is an outside chance of that, way higher than John Stones in my opinion, but lower than Enciso for sure. If he goes to a midfield spot and with a new manager, he may find his form again. I don't like him a lot, let's be honest. But if he is a good FPL option, I may consider him. If he is a midfielder, especially because as a striker, he will be a replacement for Harry Kane. But as a winger, he may be a very, very good choice because Lucas is leaving and he will rotate with Kulusevski. But yeah, let's see how the new manager starts the preseason, what system he uses, and where he will use Richarlison. And let's see what FPL classifies him as, because in my opinion, it's a 50-50 between forward and midfielder. Even though he may be rotational risk if someone is injured, especially if Harry Kane gets injured, and if he stays, let's say, and if Richarlison became their main man up front, this will be a very, very good bargain because I think his price will go down to around 7.58 maximum, but 7.5 seems more reasonable and he will be a steal in a Spurs lineup. Even though Harry Kane will be missed, Richarlison can rack up some goals, like 10 goals a season. It's a good number for him, and if you find his purple patch, he may boost your rank very, very good. Last but not least is Cody Gakpo. For me, he is sure to have a positional change. He's playing as a forward for Liverpool. He is replacing Roberto Firmino in the Liverpool system. Basically, he will be classified as a forward next season. That will be such a shame because he will get more minutes, but he will be less appealing in the fantasy world because for striker he needs goals and he's not getting a lot of goals. But as a midfielder, he would have gotten a lot more points if he scored a goal and he got a clean sheet. But now he won't be on penalties, he won't be scoring a lot of goals, or if he scores one, they won't rack up a lot of points. He is rotational risk maybe behind Jota if Pop decides to play a more forward line and not a Firmino-like role. If he goes on the wing, he will lose appeal as a forward. So yeah, he's a no-go for me. He was a no-go for me last season as a midfielder, and this season for sure. His price may rise a little bit because he's a Liverpool forward, just like Roberto Firmino price was always 9.0 and above, and he was never an option basically. I believe Cody Gakpo will suffer the same fate as him, and I don't find him very appealing. If I missed someone, please write him down in the comments. We will discuss it down in the comment section. If you enjoyed the video, give it a like, subscribe to the channel if you're new around here, and enjoy the video, and I will see you very soon with more FPL preseason content. But for now guys, I will be heading out. Bye!